loses the meaning that we have been associating with it. So, what is death? You will tell me, death is what happens at the end of our lives. Please understand. If death were nothing more than that, it would be so easy. But death is not something that happens at the end of our lives. It is something which is happening every moment of our lives. Every act of ours is unconsciously related to our death. The fear of dying. Death changes the very quality of our life. It is not the end. It is the climax of our lives, towards which our whole life is oriented. Why do I say that? Because our whole life is controlled by our concept of death. Please listen carefully. Bhavana, this is very important to you. Please listen to the session. Switch on your camera. Raymani, this is important to you because some completion should be happening in your family. So, death changes the very quality of our life. It is not the end. It is the climax of our lives, towards which our whole life is oriented. Because our whole life is controlled by our concept of death. Even our social structure is dictated by our concept of death. In fact, all great religions and world philosophies have arisen out of trying to answer one question. What is that question? What happens after death? Everybody has this question, isn't it? In trying to answer this one question, different life solutions have taken root. The cultures which believe in a single life with no concept of reincarnation have poured all their energies into excelling in life. They have achieved the peak in terms of assimilation of information, gaining of knowledge, and material comforts. These cultures have given rise to science. Science helps us live life as its optimum and get the maximum out of this life. The cultures which believe in reincarnation have turned the focus of their life inwards. Their search is different. They are not motivated to live life in a hurry. Because eternity is granted to them. You can see it clearly in the behavior of the people in India. If a program is scheduled to start at 6 o'clock, you can be sure that it won't start before 7:30. Because people have eternity before them. People who believes in reincarnation. Our whole mental setup, the course of our lives, our society, our culture, our religion, everything is based on our idea of death. We try our best not to think about death, but death pervades every moment of our life. Please understand. When we understand the depths, the secrets and mystery of death, we will understand the secrets of life. We need to solve death and see it as a mere continuity in a different form. Otherwise, we will miss life itself. If we understand that death is nothing but continuity in another form, we will not fear death. And when we stop fearing death, we will know to what extent we have been missing life. Understand? We take life for granted and we live so superficially that we miss many aspects of life. Death will simply teach us to look into life with more awareness. Death is the greatest guru ever. When we want to bring in conviction about something, we can do it in 2 days. We can either experiment and see for ourselves what the truth is, or we can take reference from someone who has already undergone the experience of it. We will now understand a reference from the Upanishads, the Vedic scriptures from ancient India. Understand? Death is the greatest teacher. There is an Upanishad called Kathopanishad, which is the wonderful dialogue that a child had with Lord Yama, the Lord of Death. In Hindu mythology, the presiding deity for death is Lord Yama. There was a famous king by the name of Ucheshravas. Ma Bhavana, this class, this today's session is very important for you. Listen carefully. Very, very important. This is going to unlock your Swadhisthana chakra. So today, let us speak. In Hindu mythology, the presiding deity for death is Lord Yama. There was a famous king by name of Ucheshravas. He was suddenly possessed by a desire to control the entire world. And so he performed a Vajapeya Yaga. Vajapeya Yaga means a fire offering that is done when one wants to rule the whole world. Listen to the story. Huh? According to the rules of this particular yaga, particular offering, one has to give away as offering all valuable things that are of great attachment to them. Only then one can get the position of the Lord of the world. Kings are always good businessmen. They have to be. Otherwise, they cannot be kings and they cannot have control over such vast property. They will see what minimum they can give and what maximum they can get out of it. This king started offering things such as cows. Please understand, any person who wants to perform this yaga to rule the world has to give away all the valuable possessions and attachments they have. So first, what this king did, he started offering things such as cows. Listen, such as cows that were at fag end of their lives. He did not give young cows. All the useless cows he did first. That had given all the possible milk they could give for a lifetime. and that had given birth to as many calves as possible in their lifetime, and they are ready to die. Such cows he is offering in the yaga. He was offering all such worthless things. Then his son Nachiketa, about 7 years of age, was watching what was happening. Nachiketa is the hero of this story. 7 years old boy. Nachiketa knew that his father was not doing the right things, but he did not know how to tell father. You see, children are very sharp and intelligent. You can't cheat them. Society has not yet corrupted and conditioned children. So he was watching his father carefully. He finally went up to him and said, "Father, you have to give away all your highly prized possessions. I am one of your highly prized possessions." Because Nachiketa is the son of the Ucheshravas. Naturally, every child is priceless for a parent. So he's saying you are supposed to give high priced possessions, not worthless things. And I am one of your highly prized possessions. To whom are you going to give me as an offering? The king understood that his son was digging at him for what he was doing. But his ego did not allow him to give way. So what he did, he continued with offering worthless things. Once more, the boy asked him the same question, and the king kept quiet. The third time, the boy shook his father and asked him to whom he was planning to offer. The king got very angry and blurted out, "I will give you to Lord Yama. You go to Yama." Now, an ordinary boy would have said, "Why should I go? You have lived a full life, so you go. Why should I go?" Any child will say that, any ordinary child. But Nachiketa was a very sincere and committed boy. Commitment and honesty possessed him like a ghost. To respect his father's words, he decided to go and meet Lord Yama. Remember that the first and the last person on planet Earth to go and meet Yama was Nachiketa. Look at this boy, guys, 7 years old. He decided to meet Lord Yama. Normally, only Yama comes to meet people to take away the life. But for the first time, Nachiketa went to meet Yama to that loka. So Nachiketa reached the abode of Yama. But Yama was not there. He had gone out. For 3 days, Nachiketa waited. Understand one thing here. A great truth is established at this point of the story. When we go in search of death, or if we have the courage to face death, death will not be there as we know it. That's why Yama was not there when this guy went to meet him. Anyhow, Yama returned after 3 days. His servants told him about the young boy Nachiketa who was waiting for him. Yama rushed to see Nachiketa. He apologized for not being there to receive him. And he further told Nachiketa, "For having made you wait for 3 days, I grant you 3 boons. You may ask for any 3 boons, and I will grant them to you." For Nachiketa, death turned out to be a god that granted him boons. For anybody else, that's not the case. Am I right? So, anyhow, the first boon, what Nachiketa asked, my father should not be angry any longer. He should recognize me and receive me with love when I return. Nachiketa asked for this boon out of the deep love for his father so that he does not suffer from the consequences of consigning his son to death. So, by this boon, Nachiketa made sure he's going to go back from the world of death. Once Yama says Tadastu, now he can't say, you came to the death loka, you can't go back anymore. He can't say that, no, isn't it? Yama granted him the boon. The second boon, which Nachiketa asked, instruct me in the fire sacrifice that leads to heaven, for there is no fear in heaven, nor old age, nor death. Nachiketa is saying, instruct me in the fire sacrifice that leads to heaven, because there is no fear in heaven, nor old age, nor death in heaven. This boon was also granted, and Yama led Nachiketa through the fire sacrifice and then named it Nachiketa Agni. This was a fire which could raise one's consciousness to a heavenly experience, an experience of pleasure. Now, the third boon was, please teach me the truth of existence, of life and death. Do I exist after death or not? Please tell me this. Oh my God. Yama was shocked at Nachiketa's question. Yama told him, please do not ask me this question. You are asking the very secret of death, which I cannot deliver to you. I will give you immeasurable wealth if you wish, but please don't ask me this question. But Nachiketa was persistent, insistent. He said, even if I take all this wealth from you, I will be a mere trustee to your wealth for about 100 years, 2000 years, that's all. I still have to come to your abode once that period is over, Nachiketa answers. Naturally, guys, no matter how much wealth we are only a trust member. Am I right? For 100 years, or even if we live 1000 years. After that, we have to reach death. Na? So permanently that wealth is not ours, correct? So Nachiketa is telling this. It is not going to be of any use for me. So please tell me the secret of death instead. Yama saw the maturity and commitment of the boy to know the truth. Yama decided that he should give Nachiketa the truth, secret of the life and death. The experience he took the boy through became the experience of the soul for the boy, and Nachiketa flowered and became enlightened. Ah, so beautiful, guys. 7-year-old boy. Look at that authenticity of that boy. He was able to go to the Lord of Yama's Loka. He was able to question Yama. Not only he was able to come back to planet Earth, he also came to know the secret of life and death. He was the first person ever Yama taught the secrets of death. And the experience he went through, the soul of the boy, whatever it went through with Yama, instantly Nachiketa flowered and became enlightened. This is a beautiful story from the Upanishad. Don't analyze whether this story is a fact or not. Don't start looking for dates and history. It conveys the truth. That is enough. Use it as a ladder to reach the truth instead of clinging onto the ladder and missing the truth. The story is a ladder. What is the difference between an ordinary person meeting Yama and Nachiketa meeting Yama? When an ordinary person meets Yama, Yama takes away his family without his permission. Healing blessings, Ma Kanta. For your pain, just relax. Just listen to this truth. Face whatever courageously. It will just dissolve. Healing blessings. Swamiji will take care. Please understand. Listen to this story very intently. How authentic Nachiketa is. I'm sure all pains will just disappear. When an ordinary person meets Yama, Yama takes away his family without his permission. Yama takes away all his pleasures. Finally, he takes away his life itself. All the things he covets like family, pleasures, and life, he takes away suddenly without that person's consent. Also, an ordinary person never goes to Yama. It is Yama who comes to him as an unwanted guest. But Nachiketa went to Yama, and Yama gave him back his family in the first boon. Through the second boon, Yama gave him the experience of heavenly pleasures. And finally, in the third boon, Yama gave him enlightenment. Four things need to be understood from this wonderful story. The first thing is that when we go in search of death, when we face death, it will not be there as we thought it would be. This is symbolized by Yama being absent when Nachiketa goes to meet him. Secondly, even if death is there, it is not the terrifying thing that we think it is loving and giving. This can be seen from the way Yama greeted and spoke to Nachiketa. The third thing is that death is our greatest teacher ever. That is why Yama taught Nachiketa many things. Lastly, death can give us the ultimate gift, enlightenment, which Yama did. For most of us, life never goes beyond the fear of death. We live and die between desires and fear. We don't know any other way of life, or we don't have the courage to take on any other way of life. In earlier times, people lived without the life security that we have today. There was no vaccination available against fatal diseases. There was no satellite based advance warning of natural calamities, and there was no security against famine, drought, or floods. Therefore, people were always mentally prepared for struggle, even for death. Especially the warrior class, Kshatriya class, had to be ever ready for death. The samurai warriors of ancient Japan knew the way to face death calmly. Conscious death experience. See, we all live in constant fear of death. We are ready to escape it at all cost. Death is seen upon as our greatest enemy. A small story about Socrates, the Greek philosopher. Socrates was killed by being forced to drink the juice of the poisonous herb called hemlock. Just before he drank the poison, one of his disciples asked him, Master, are you not afraid of dying? You appear to be so calm. Socrates replied, Why should I be? I know that only two things can happen after death. Either I will continue to exist in some other form or name, or I will cease to exist after death. In the first case, There is nothing to worry about. In the second case, who will remain to worry? Listen carefully. Did you understand this great truth? So, either way, there's nothing to fear. If you cease to exist, there's nobody to worry. You're not going to worry anymore. If you're going to continue after death, then what is there to be worried of? You are there. So there is nothing to fear. Socrates was fearless of death purely because he had a clear understanding of death and its consequences. Death is always looked upon as a discontinuity, and that is why people suffer when they see death. Death is never a discontinuity, it is either continuity in some other form or simply liberation, that's all. When man understands this, he will realize how foolish it is to suffer on this account. Man is very attached to the physical form, and that is why he suffers so much. Understand? The body is a mere vehicle for the soul. This has to be understood very clearly. Although the only certain thing on planet Earth for man is death. He is always taken by surprise when it actually happens. This is the most surprising thing about man. A small story. A lady was celebrating her 100th birthday. Her entire family was there for the occasion. They were opening all the gifts and reading all the cards that had been received from family and friends. They showed the lady one card that had been sent by her 94-year-old friend. The lady shrieked, "God, she's still alive." We are able to apply death to everyone else except us. Everything in life we are prepared for except our own death. The irony is, everything in life is so unpredictable except death, because the day we are born, we already know we are going to die. So it's not unpredictable. Everything in life is unpredictable. But we are not surprised for unpredictable things, but we are always taken by surprise by death. The only certain thing in life is death. But the last thing we would like to be told is that sooner or later we are going to die. Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi, the enlightened master from India, became enlightened through a conscious experience of death. When Ramana was a young boy, one day he was just lying on his bed in his uncle's house in Madurai, going to die. He felt that death was coming upon him. He had two choices, either to resist the feeling or to accept it and go through it. Usually, people resist, so they pass into coma and leave the body in a state of unconsciousness. 99% of us leave the body in a state of unconsciousness. Though we know from the moment of birth that our life will culminate in death, we never try to visualize it. We never try to actualize the possibility. We never try to welcome it. At least once, if you go through it with consciousness, you will lose your fear for it automatically. Ramana was courageous enough to choose the second path. He cooperated with the feeling. He allowed death to happen. He decided to see what would happen during death. Understand? He saw clearly, one by one, the parts of his body dying. Slowly, his whole body was dead. He saw his body turn into ashes. Suddenly, he realized that something remained even after that, something which cannot be destroyed. He suddenly realized that he was pure consciousness beyond the body and mind. He was simply a witness to his own death. That knowledge was tremendous. It never left him. And when he came back into his body, he was Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi, an enlightened master. Please understand, when you conquer the fear of death, you conquer death itself, because death is just one more imagination. Just like how our greed makes us imagine the world to be more beautiful than it actually is, here our fear makes us imagine death to be more frightening than it actually is. We wear glasses of greed and fear, which do not allow us to see reality. When you experience death psychologically, you release the energy that has been locked in the fear energy center called the Swadhisthana chakra in your body, which is located between the Mooladhara, root chakra, and the Manipuraka, navel center. Please understand, when this energy center is activated, the whole quality of your life just changes. Listen carefully once more. I'm repeating. We wear glasses of greed and fear, which do not allow us to see reality. When you are locked in the fear energy center called the Swadhisthana chakra in your body, understand, because of your capacity to accept death as just a continuity in another form, your capacity to enjoy life is transformed. Your whole body relaxes. Your whole consciousness expands. Your living capacity expands. By understanding death and fear of death, your life will turn out to be rich. Not wealthy, maybe, but rich. Richness is what is really important in life. But if I tell you all this now, you will not believe me. You will think that I am talking about impractical things. A small story. A man who had been born blind was promised a cure by a doctor. The doctor assured the man, after this operation, you will get your vision back. You won't need to use your stick anymore. Hearing this, the blind man became afraid. He said, Doctor, I understand that I will get my vision back. But how can I possibly walk without my stick? Array, the moment you have vision, why do you need a stick? Please understand, the stick had become such an integral part of the blind man that he could not even understand that he would be able to walk without the stick. The stick first place came because of blindness. How can you explain to a blind man that once he gains his vision, he simply won't need a stick? Right now, he's too afraid, so he won't know. But only after getting the vision, he will know, isn't it? So, all you can do is perform the operation and let him see for himself. That's all. He will throw away the stick on his own. In the same way, even if I tell you In the same way, even if I tell you that all your fears are only the ultimate fear of death, and that your self is immortal, that it is only your body which perishes, you will still hold on to your own ideas of fear because you haven't experienced it. Just like that blind man, he doesn't know. After operation, he doesn't need the stick anymore. Unless death becomes a conscious experience, the fear will never leave you. But you can do one thing: repeatedly listen to these words, develop a conviction about them, try to see how your minor and major fears are actually related to the fear of dying. Bring some clarity into all your day to day fears. See how interrelated all your fears are. Bring awareness into your fears. Then you will steadily evolve and come closer to the truth. We can categorize all our fears into five major categories. The first is fear of losing our wealth, our comfort, name and fame, prestige, and other outer world things. The second fear is fear of losing our health, parts of our body, through some accident or disease. The fears concerned with our physical health. Hey, anybody, on your own, please do not give these sessions as a class to anyone. Understand? You have to be ordained to give these sessions. Otherwise, that karma will come to you. Don't repeat these things to other people, because when you are not ordained by Swamiji, all the others' karma will come to you. This is only for your personal understanding and for you to evolve. Okay. Anyhow, the second is the fear of losing our health and parts of our body through some accident or disease. The fears concerned with our physical health. The third is the fear of losing our mental health, our mental stability. The fourth is the fear of losing our loved ones or their love. The fifth is the fear of the unknown, fear of God, fear of ghosts, fear of death itself. Actually, if you deeply analyze our fears, all the five categories of fears are related to the fear of death. Please understand all these five categories. If you relate, they are related to fear of death. They manifest themselves in different ways. That's all. So listen carefully. Again, I will repeat. First fear is losing our wealth, comfort, name, fame, prestige, outer world things. Second fear is losing our health, parts of our body through some accident or disease, fears concerned with our physical health. Next one, fears concerning our mental health, our mental stability. Fourth fear is losing our loved ones or their love. Fifth fear is fear of unknown, fear of God, ghosts, death itself. So today, analyze about all these fears deeply. All just contemplate in your mind. All the five categories of these fears are related to the fear of death. They are just manifesting themselves in different ways. That's all. So, next session, we will discuss how to live totally as a whole without all these fears. Okay. So, tomorrow, I will meet you all tomorrow at around 7:30 or 8 p.m. Please log in the class. Okay. So don't be late. Please